How's it going, everybody? This is BeatTheBush. Have you ever thought about how to get more free time? I mean, really think about it in terms of maximizing the things that you want to do and minimizing all the things that you don't want to do. Now, when you really think about it, most of your time is likely taken up by work and also commuting. You can try to shorten your commuting hours if your time is flexible with work by shifting it over to a time where there's less traffic. You can also try to live closer to work and also telecommute. Here's a quick list of chores, but when you analytically look at each one, you can kind of figure out how to minimize the time that you do each thing. For example, for laundry, you can try to not wash things every single time that you use it once. You only wash it when it's dirty. Another example for laundry is that you can waste a lot of time trying to pair socks. So instead of trying to pair socks, you can just get all the same kinds of socks so that when you wash them and you get them back, you never have to pair. You just kind of like bunch them all up together and you just pick two and they're matched already. This is something I personally do, however the style changed a little bit over the years and now I have 3 different kinds of socks. Still, it's very easy to sort all of them when you only have 3 different kinds. Now, most people would agree that most of these are just chores, something you must do in order to upkeep yourself. You have cleaning over here, including like maybe windows, you have to vacuum, things like that. Now, if you have a smaller place and less stuff laying around, then you have less stuff to clean. Therefore, it's gonna save you time as well if you do that. Now, for bathing, you might be able to skip a day or two if you do not sweat a lot. You might be able to save some time if you're able to do really quick showers. For grooming, if you have a system going where you can do it really quickly, you can also save some time that way. For cooking, I've shown in several videos already where I'm able to draw out something frozen from the freezer, combine it with some vegetables and some starch and have a meal in about 10 to 15 minutes. In some sense, 10 or 15 minutes of cooking might still be too much for some people. And if you're willing to pay extra to go out and just buy meals, yes, if you're able to buy healthy meals, then yes, go ahead, you can buy that, except it's gonna cost you a lot more. Eating wise, do you think most people enjoy eating? I personally enjoy eating and I prefer not to have the alternatives such as like the Soylent drink where you just mix it in with water and you drink it and it takes really little time, a few minutes already, and you can already finish eating a meal. Whereas if you eat normal food, it's gonna take you anywhere from 10, 15, 30 minutes or even an hour. Paying the bills takes an immense amount of time because every single month you have to keep on paying the bill. If you do not have this on automatic, then you're gonna end up spending maybe 5 hours, 10 hours every single month paying bills. This is time that you do not have to spend paying bills. You could set all those bills on automatic. I have basically every single bill that I have on automatic. I don't even look at it. It just automatically deducts from my checking account. The credit cards are paid with my checking account. Basically everything I can think of is automatically paid. So for paying bills, I never have to write a check and put a stamp on it and mail anything actually. The exception comes in for taxes, of course, and sometimes maybe registration for cars. I might have to specially go and pay those. Now let's talk about the extreme time wasters where sometimes you might get into it so much that it's gonna take up all your free time basically. For example, if you're into some of the addictive games on your cell phone or on a computer where you just keep on click and it always recharges or something and you end up coming back to it all the time, when you add up how much time it takes every single week or every single month, sometimes it takes an enormous amount of time. And if you realize how addictive they are, it's just trying to hook you in, waste all your time, and possibly cause you to spend money on those in-game coins or whatnot. So it's really important to watch out for time wasters like these because you could be using that time to do something much better. I personally watched a lot of shows or TV series, things like that before, and I realized some of them are worth watching. Some of the really good shows are worth watching, but then if you just don't have anything else that you want to do, you go, oh, I'm gonna just start some other show because I got nothing else to do. Then you start watching these B-rated TV shows. I think after the fact of watching so many of these shows that the B-rate ones are definitely not watching. You should only watch the really good ones because those you can argue is worth your time. For reruns is an interesting thing because there have been studies done where if you're watching a rerun, you kind of like tend to relax. After you get home from work, you want to go, oh, I want to relax. You don't want to turn on your brain. When you watch a new show, you actually have to use your brain and pay attention, pay very close attention, so you know what the characters are saying. However, if you watch a rerun, you've seen it already, then you tend to relax a bit more. Your brain is a lot more relaxed. When you're watching the show, you feel more relaxed because you don't have the need to pay attention to every single line. You just kind of know what's going on. So it's also a comfort thing, but it also wastes your time because you're not actually experiencing anything new here. So watch out for watching way too many reruns. The last time waster that I'm identifying is too much socializing. You could be one of those types where you have lots and lots of different friends, but no deep connection. So then you just go and hang out with people time after time, every single night. You just go hang out with this person, hang out with that person. And by the time you're done with all this, you don't have any deep connection. And yet you wasted all your time socializing. You could have been using all this time to improve yourself. Now I show all these things that may consume a lot of time, but have you ever thought about if you have too much stuff on your to-do list to just decide to not do it? Sometimes you create to-do lists for yourself and maybe you do not absolutely need to do it. I've had, yes, dinosaur. I guess the dinosaur doesn't like the fact that I'm telling people to not do stuff. Anyway, at one point I wanted to paint these speakers white because it matches with everything else. However, I just decided to not do it. Well, I'm okay still. Anyway, you can actually decide that it's not worth your time to do a certain thing. Then you can automatically knock those things off your to-do list. You just decide, no, it's not worth your time. You can cross them off, then that saves you time, of course, because you decide not to do it. So why do I talk about all these things and trying to minimize all the things that you have to do? Because after you minimize all this, then you get a lot of time that you can use on whatever reason that you want. Now that you have this enormous chunk of time that you can do with whatever you want, now is the time to decide what you're going to do with it. This is a bit different for everyone, but you really need to find yourself and try to figure out what you really want to do. I remember long ago when I just didn't have anything else to do, I would just start watching more shows. Yes, there were time wasters and I wasn't improving myself, but realizing that now, it's really important to go and find what you really want to do, something that's worthy of your time. So looking back at all the time I wasted on these things, I can tell you that after doing all those things didn't really add anything to my life. The addictive games, yeah, I mean, I had fun playing it, but then at the end of the day, did I gain any skills? No, it just kind of passed time. B-rated TV shows, they're a little bit entertaining, and yes, it also passed time, and every single show is like, what, an hour long, and then you have a whole series, which is 10 hours, you have multiple seasons, then it's like 50 hours altogether for the whole show. I mean, all of this adds up, and all of this time, you could have been doing something much better. Now I do realize that it may take some time to find something much better to do, because if you really didn't have anything else to do, you just kind of fall back in this comfort thing. Anything that you could do that is really easy, because it's really easy to just turn on a TV and just sit there and just zone out. So let me give you an example of what I really enjoy doing, which is I made this fake Apple Watch one time. I'll leave the video over here if you're interested. Why the heck did I do this? It was just because I wanted to. It was just something I imagined. I wanted to make it. I wanted to practice the tabletop CNC machine. And guess what? After I used all this time to make something creative, I just created this thing out of thin air. It was actually months before Apple released their first Apple Watch, so I actually had a physical prototype and it looked like the real thing. It was just funny to show people, and people often would take a double take, and I had a good laugh on it. Some people, whenever you do something creative that happened to take a lot of time, people like to say, oh, you have too much time on your hands. This phrase is just something I really dislike, because they themselves probably didn't have that much time to begin with to do something like that. They themselves are probably way too busy in order to do anything creative, because all their time is taking up going to work, commuting, doing chores, doing everything. All their time is taking up already, so they have zero time to do something creative like that. That's why they say you have too much time on your hands. However, like I said, if you minimize the time it takes you to do each one of these things and possibly cut out some of these super time wasters, you're gonna have a chunk of time in your hands and you can use it to do something creative. Now that you've squeezed out a little bit more time out of every single place, you can spend it on whichever way you please. Of course, you really shouldn't pour it back into the time wasters. You should rather spend it on something constructive, spend it on loved ones, spend more time with people that you like, spend it on your passions, spend it on your hobbies, etc. I hope you enjoyed this way of spending your time wisely, because time is actually very, very valuable, and it certainly should not be wasted watching, B-rated TV shows. Don't forget to give me a like on this video, comment down below, let me know if this video made you realize how much time you're wasting and what better stuff you could actually be doing. If you're interested in supporting this channel, I have an Audible link down in the video description below where you can get a free audiobook, and if you don't like the audiobook or the service, you can cancel before the trial period ends and you would not owe a thing, and you can still keep the audiobook and also help benefit this channel. I also have a 30-day free trial for Gamefly down below. It's kind of like a Netflix for video games. Of course, you really shouldn't get the addictive kinds, you can just recreationally play this. I also have a Patreon over here where you can actually support my channel using the low balance cancellation method of $1.99 on a Discover card that you do not use anywhere else. What happens is Patreon would charge your Discover card, and every single month your Discover card would actually low balance cancel the charge there, and you won't have to pay a thing. Crazy, right? And lastly, don't forget to subscribe over here. Thanks for watching.